Alex.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your 5th win.
Appreciate it.
How does it feel?
Feels really good.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. Feels really
seemed
good.
like a very rough Big Brothers. Did you feel like it was challenging?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Awesome. So I do have a couple questions for you. The first one is, how did it feel after coming back after 4 years to play this game?
It felt really good. I liked coming back kind of after my quote-unquote retirement after Big Brother 10, and that was in 2017. It felt really good coming back after 4 years. I love coming back to the game, dominating as I do. I felt I did a really good job. I know before the game started, I was kind of at the resort, the cabin that everyone knows that we played at. And there was the river there. That was really awesome. I was speaking with Kody down by the river saying it felt good to be back. Are you glad to have me back? And that was a really cool moment, I think. And it really captured the essence, I feel like, of the first few games I originally played. And I loved coming back, bringing a new perspective to the game, but I feel like it's kind of been lost in prior seasons. And so I really, really enjoyed it overall. And I think the win was deserving near the end as well.
Was it nice having your Fluffle-Truff buddy back?
Yes, 100%. I've never played the game without Kody, actually, and this was the first time I played Kody where he did not get to the end with me together, and so this was the first time he got evicted mid-game, and I actually played by myself for the first time ever in all 14 seasons.
That's
so that was really interesting. I really enjoyed it. I definitely brought new challenges to it once Kody did leave. Ultimately, I'm glad with how it ended up, ultimately, as I did win the game, but it definitely was nice having Kody there up to that point.
Yeah, it seemed like you were trying to help him out a lot throughout that game.
Yes, 100%. I had Kobe's back the whole entire time. I never turned my back on Kody. And then him and Rose also was the second person I was trying to work really close with. And I never lied to either of them throughout the whole entire game.
Awesome. In the Big Brother Legends coach interviews, you tell Alex Klinman that he has played the most flawless game in Big Brother history up to that point. But then in Big Brother Legends, you call Sarah the top performer since you consider you and Kody more as a pair. Now, after All Stars, where do you rank the 4 of you?
So I did speak to all of them individually, and I also spoke to Austin Campbell at the end of Big Brother All Stars, and I asked him how he perceived my gameplay, and it was a really, really big compliment that he thought I played very savagely and very direct.
Okay.
And I took it as a big compliment, considering I consider him and Dylan Sayer probably the two most statusable players that have not won the game, that bring something to the table. Something, though, Alex did mention when we were hanging out with him a few days back is, when we were talking about the game and whatnot, is he kind of considered me, himself, Sarah, and Kody as the Mount Rushmore in Big Brother, and I honestly would agree to that status, as Kody has won 5 times. In Big Brother Legends, he did not win or make Final 3, but he did take out Dylan on the only tie vote to flip that game completely, and then Kody was a huge asset in All-Stars as well, being targeted week to week to week until he finally went home. He definitely does consider himself Judas as well, from what Dylan's called him before, and he does deserve to be there. Yeah. Alex, in my opinion, him and Sarah both have said that they view me above them, which I take as a huge compliment. I think Sarah is almost an amazing player, and so is Alex. I do stand by my statements. Alex, I think, has played the most flawless game, better than me and Sarah, where he had no issues at all his first time. Mm-hmm. He at least had to overcome things. He literally just crushed it all the way to the end, even with a curse where he couldn't win any more vetoes and still won the game, breaking a record at that point. Still has the most flawless win. Sarah, I would agree, has probably the most interesting way of viewing the game, because she took down an alliance of 5 on her own with 0 allies and dominated from final 7 all the way to the end.
Right.
Which even I didn't do competition wise. I had to kind of rely on some other people to throw things at times or win things and protect me, which I think is still a great asset to have in general. And I think arguably us 4 are the best 4 players to have played this game, and you could argue which one's the best. I feel like my record speaks for itself, and that's all I'll say on my end of things. Mm-hmm. Never making it, always making it to final 2 and never making it worse than that, I feel like, is huge. And I feel like that's what I would make the Mount Rushmore, considering Alex's statement. So I'd say all 4 of us are on an equal level. It's always fun to have the debate in the alumni of Big Brother and the fan base that we've conjured up now of having 40 players and a bunch of fans that have talked to me that haven't even played my version. It's just cool seeing how they rank all 4 of us, because some think Alex is the best, which that's kind of the boat I sit in a little bit. There's some that think Sarah's the best, which I could easily see that side of things. And then even Dylan Sayer thinks Kobe's the best, and then some people also think that I'm the best. So I consider all 4 of us to be greats, and I like that there's kind of a debate between the 4.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I sit with that.
That's a big compliment, though, saying that you were part of the Mount Rushmore for Big Brother.
Yes, I take that as a really big compliment, and that's what Alex said. I take that really strongly. I have a big passion for the game, and I try continuously to dominate anytime I have played it, and playing it 10 times, always making it to the final 2 is a huge thing for me.
Do you feel like some people could get very big egoed off of that?
As in, what do you mean, like being in the
overconfident with that kind of compliment?
Like for the four of us that are in the Mount Rushmore, or
just in general, like another player that has played a Big Brother. Do you feel like if Alex had given that compliment to someone else, except for you,
yes,
do you think that could have boosted them a lot, made them overconfident in their gameplay?
100%. I mean, it's a huge compliment, and coming from who I still arguably say is the best player, Alex Kleinman, I think it's a huge compliment regardless, and I can view myself as a really good player as well. I think my record, as I said, speaks for itself, and having us four in there, me, Kody, who are kind of the founding members of Team Fluffle Truff, and some people don't know, but Kody actually won the first game on his own where we weren't working together, and in Rebirth, he also won again when I wasn't even present as a player. So some people think that I just dragged Kody the whole time, which I've helped him in the games we have played, but he has won 2 solid games without my presence as being an ally. So I do agree Kody is really high up there, and he's the only one to win the battle back and then win the game. So I do agree Kody deserves to be in there, and I don't think us four have a big ego from it. We just know we're really high up there on our level of gameplay and don't take it in a cocky manner. Sarah, on the other end, has been to Final 2 twice out of 3 games. Her second game she made it to Final 5, Big Brother Legacy, where Dylan and Sarah ended up taking her out. And that's one of the great moments I wish we had on film before the recorded era, where he looked down on her, actually in your parents' backyard. She was sitting on the steps, and he looked at her like he was euthanizing a puppy and said, "Hey, you're done." And then took her out. And Sarah's an amazing player. The only people that have ever evicted her before that was Dylan. So yeah. I think all 4 of us deserve to be in that ranks. And some things people maybe not know or don't want to agree to is when Alex went out in 6th place, everyone playing the game, if he would have stayed there, would have taken to the end. Arguably, except for Brandon. I don't know what Brandon's thought process was, but I know I would have. Katie would have taken him to the end. Bryce would have taken him to the end. And if I stayed, I would have taken him to the end. Like, Alex was set up for Final 2 again, whether people want to agree to that or not. And I get he wanted a new winner, but seeing his gameplay and still respecting him in the game, I take it honestly as a bigger compliment playing with him than almost winning the game. Just because I love him so much as a player, and I respect everything he did along the way, even if it was against me.
For sure. For sure. No, and I agree. His gameplay was amazing. As for Brandon, I was impressed with what he was doing.
Yes.
And I think his gameplay was amazing. So moving on to some other questions that we have.
Okay.
What is the best season to date of the 14 seasons you say so far?
Out of the 14 we do have, I would 100% say season 14. And not just because I won, not from an ego base. We had the most power struggles throughout the game with different sides of the house taking power. We had Austin and Bryce at one point taking power. We had Rose having that underdog alliance, quote unquote, for a while. Brandon winning that head of household as well was kind of a flip when he put me and Austin on the block. And then in the end, me, Brandon, and Austin were the final 3. And then me and Austin were literally trying to shoot at each other the whole entire game. Like, there was just so many different aspects of power. It was so nice. Because in season 13, Legends, when Sarah won, it was really Dylan's alliance crushing through the competition, and Kody cut the head off the snake when Dylan left, and then they kind of squirmed and struggled till the end, and then Sarah ended up just kind of taking the mantle and running through everything, which is amazing to see, and it's very impressive, but I do think that season 14 is just really fun to watch from an outside perspective, but I think it's probably the best season to date by far. Like, we had 3 high key players in the game. We had me, Kody, and Alex all playing. Me and Kody got to be his Fluffle Truck again, which is really awesome for some other people to see. I think they underestimate what we can do together. And then I just think having Dresden coming back from the battle back, he finally took that 3rd swing, got Kody out. Like, Rose lied to me directly, and I believed her at the time, and it was, I believe, me, her, Brandon, and Bryce in a bedroom, and it was Alex and Kody on the block, and she's like, "Hey guys, like, we're voting out Alex, right?" And I'm like, "Oh, 100%. Like, I thought we were on board to keep Kody again, and Alex was gone.
Right.
And then when Alex was like, "Oh, I'm not worried," I was like, "Oh, what's going on?" And then Rose called a meeting with her group afterwards. I was like, "Wow, she lied to me and got me good." Like, I respect that type of gameplay. I don't hold it to anyone in an ill manner. But that's why I would agree this is probably the best season that we've had. I personally did not dominate the whole game. I played like I normally do and played more aggressively than I ever have until Kody left. And then I had to lay low a little bit and hook to Rose, work with her heart to heart. And then when she ended up leaving due to that big fight with Katie and Rose, me and Brandon kind of were able to collaborate in the darkness and then pull through to the end. So I never had like a set out. I feel like it was Kody, and then it was Rose, and then it was Brandon.
Yeah. It was very fun hosting Big Brother All-Stars because I got to see the conversations, I got to see the drama, I got to see the conflicts that were occurring through it. It's very interesting.
Yes.
So now after the game has ended and you've seen all the footage, how do you view yours and Austin's mental chess match throughout the game? Because you guys were using people around you as chess pieces.
Yes.
Just to get each other out.
Yes.
So what do you have to say about that?
I don't think anyone else that I've met in the game up to this point could challenge me on that level. I actually enjoyed it throughout the game. My heart was beating at a few points. My heart's never raced faster than when I finished that maze veto when me and Kobe first got put up. That was an awesome moment. But no, I definitely loved the chess match 100%. That kind of came from the game. And I don't think any other player really could have challenged me to that level. And it's fascinating watching us get to the end together and then Brandon picking me over him, because I feel like being taken to the final three is so satisfying compared to being the one to pick someone to go with you. Like, someone else picking you is a huge step, knowing that you played the game in a manner to curate those relationships.
For sure. For sure. That's very interesting. I'm curious how he feels about it as well.
Yeah.
So what move do you think was the winning move that got you to the end in that game?
I think orchestrating Coleman to put Sammy up was the move that set me up. No. What I really think was the best move that set me up for the win was, in my personal opinion, using that veto at Final Four when it was me, Brandon, Austin, and Katie. I genuinely wanted to take Katie to the end there, and I do. I really did. Like, I promise I did. When she hesitated, saying she wasn't sure, I was like, I need to take Brandon. I know Austin will cut me with how the whole game's been. I was like, Brandon's at least being upfront with me, and I need to gamble on doing that and hope that that works out in the end. And it luckily did. But I was like, hey, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine.
Yeah.
Like, let's try to do it together. I haven't lied to you this whole game. Let's work it out. And it ended up working out greatly, because I feel like if I didn't use that veto, Brandon leaves there, Katie and Austin easily will take each other over me. And I don't know if I would have beaten them in that Final 3 HOH.
Yeah.
So I think that winning move was the veto decision at Final 4.
People need to remember that even at the end, it's a good thing to lie. Because when you do hesitate, it kind of shows the other person that they're thinking of doubting it.
Correct. And I agree.
Very cool. Do you feel like you had a lot of control during your game?
So
do you
I
feel
know,
like empowered?
Yes, I know a lot of people have asked me this question as well on how I view it. I view, in my personal opinion, with the rally involved and everything, I feel like I dominated and controlled the game up until Kobe leaving. Once Kobe left, I threw out my aggressive gameplay and kind of just dialed it back a bit. It's like, hey, Rose, like, I'm neck and neck with you. Let's just work together. Whatever you want, I am perfectly okay with. And that was my strategy. I was like, hey, guys, if I leave the game, the status quo doesn't change. And I said that multiple times, which was true at the time. I was like, hey, if I leave, there's still Alex, there's still Austin, there's still Bryce. I'm just a number to help you get them out. If I leave, it really doesn't help you in any way. You should have a whole line of 3 gunning for you. And I did say that a lot also because it also would protect me, being like, wow, maybe Kody isn't the one to get out, because we'll still be up against those 3 at the end of the day.
Right.
And so that's why I wanted to use that to my advantage and try to lay low, and it ended up working ultimately. Because to be honest, if I was playing against myself, I would have put myself on the block, I think, on Rose's HOH instead of Dresden to get me out, knowing my competition record. That would have scared me as a player. I would try to convince Rose to do that. I think Rose kept me in the game, though, is because she was more worried about Dresden's competition record and what he could possibly bring to the table physically, because I was being very open and honest with her, and I didn't lie to Rose one bit in the game. And so I think that helped me out in that advantage, and when Rose won that HOH, it allowed me to dial back a bit and kind of reconfigure my plan.
Yeah.
And then I was able to spring forward on that 3rd day.
And people had a lot of opportunities to backdoor you.
Yes, they did, 100%. What I still have told some people after the game is I would have given me confidence, made me feel comfortable, and then just backdoor me with a veto. I wouldn't have been able to fight against that. Like, it would have been the perfect way to get me out of the game. But putting me on the block consistently and giving me a chance to fight ultimately was their downfall. So I'm like, well, now I know I'm the target. I'm going to try to win.
Yeah.
Like, that easily is what they should have done ultimately.
And we saw a lot of excitement when you were winning things.
Yes.
With one in particular was the maze. When Bryce had yelled that he had got it, when he did not.
Yes.
And you kept going because you didn't believe him.
Yes.
You, in the end, were the winner.
Yes.
That was a very fun moment for a lot of people.
Yes, I mean, I was definitely really hyped when that happened. I was like, okay, I'm set, because I know if I didn't win, I'd be gone. And so I honestly would go back to your original question. I did have control, because I was winning things. I had control till Kody left, and then it died down a bit. And then once it hit Final 5, I felt like I had control again when I donned my Fluffle Truck shirt on day 3. I never hit the block once in it actually, which makes me so proud. I was able to win out at the end there, kind of maneuver myself along the way, and I kind of brought back that Big Brother old era of me, like 1 through 10, of them more conniving route more than just a physically adept.
Yeah, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Another question I have is, which everyone is probably wondering. So after coming back after 4 years and dominating the game, do you think there is a chance for you to return in the future during any future installment?
So after the first 10, I ended up retiring. That was from 2015 to 2017. We had 10 games in between that era. And then during that time frame, we took the rest of 2017 off, 2018, so we went on a 2-year hiatus. And I remember at the time, I was like, Kody, both 4 for 4, let's call it good, like, don't want to burn out a good thing. And so we both took a tie 4 to 4. We also had the wins of Trevor from season 2 and Zachary Clausen from season 9. And then at that time, I was like, hey, we're done. Like, I want to end on a good note. And then because my passion of the game after the 2-year hiatus, I was like, you know what, like, let's bring it back, reinvigorate the series, have some new faces, and really explode it, which it ended up working honestly better than I ever could have imagined how it's set up now.
Yeah.
So in Rebirth and Legacy, I did host those games and I was retired, and I was in Legends as well, which Legends was originally supposed to be the second ending of the game. Season 10 was the first one, and then 2 years later Sarah won. That was going to be the ending of it, the Airbnb. And then also I did make that accomplishment and future Big Brother video on YouTube due to the high acclamation of the first Airbnb game that exploded. And that's when I decided to end it in 2025 on my 10-year anniversary when I started the game.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, and I can officially announce here, I will not be playing again as a player. I will only help with production and hosting for some things I have in mind. I feel like I came back after 4 years, showed people how to really play the game, played in a dominating style as well, where it wasn't, I feel like, overly done. Like, I won competitions, a lot of them, but I also had to go back to my old conniving routes near the end of the game, and it ended up superseding me to get to the end. So I personally am fully retiring here. I will not play in any of the next 4 games, 15 through 18. I would love to host those still and help me production standpoint, and I hope everyone is okay with that. I know some of you might want to play with me in the future, but playing 10 times out of the overall 18 that will be the last one in 2025, playing 10 of those 18 games, always making it to Final 2, I feel like almost solidifies my flawless record, where I wouldn't want to taint that either. But I also want to see some new faces come to the game and see what they can offer as well.
Right.
So I will be retiring after this from a player perspective and will not return to the game.
We will miss your savagery through
Thank
the game.
you. I do appreciate it.
I am excited to see some new winners.
Yes.
It'll be nice
Very
that
much
you
so.
don't win and beat them all down. My last but not least question to end the interview is, do you want to explain our decorations in the back behind us?
Yes. So during Big Brother All-Stars, there was a 3-day event, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I wore my Spider-Man tank top, which I actually do wear a lot, on Friday. I wore my What the Pug shirt, which is super duper cute, on Saturday, and I wore my Team Fluffle Truff shirt, which was actually created in 2016 when me and Kody donned the Fluffle Truff Alliance and agreed on it. So I decided to have a shirt for each of the days I played at All-Stars, kind of as a memorabilia and Hall of Fame to look back on. So that's kind of why I donned each one.
I think that's an amazing idea. I will say, though, the What the Pug shirt is my favorite, considering I bought it for you.
Yes.
I won't lie, that is one of my favorites. But it was very fun talking to you. It was very interesting to see how you felt about the game and what you think about each player, and learning more about you and Austin's chess match of the Big Brother players as pieces.
Yes.
Because I know poor little Coleman got out just because
Casualty.
he was there.
Yes.
He
Poor
was a sad
Coleman.
casualty.
Yeah.
But it was great talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for staying and listening to what I have to say.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You as well.